All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Metis live stream. Today, we have a couple of announcements that I'd like to jump into right away. Let's just get started, share my screen. Boom. Okay. Hopefully, everyone can see this. I'm going to take that silence as a yes. So I'll just continue. So we have a couple of ecosystem updates today. We'll be going over the Smart L2 mechanism, our new reputation power mechanism, which will be launched. We'll have announcements for a contest as well, and other announcements related to the CEG and other developments, as well as having a Q&A session at the end of this. Let's get right into it. So just to give we do answer your questions. We do take them in. Please join our Telegram, ask them in the chat. We'll likely answer it either this live stream or the next one. Brief disclaimer, not financial advice, educational purposes only. So just to give a brief description of what Metis is, we are accelerating the transition from Web 2 to Web 3. We want to create an easy to use, very accessible platform for people to be able to use blockchain in the real world. We do so by making these usable interfaces and then having the ability to actually make blockchain useful for Web 2 use cases as well. So our core principles is decentralization, usability, functionality, low fees, as well as the scalability and security. So everything is in relation to these principles. So all of the applications and our platform itself, the Metis Andromeda ecosystem, is also based off of these principles here, and including the other modules which we are releasing, including reputation, which we'll also talk about today. So of course, Metis supports a variety of use cases already directly on our layer 2. So tons of these use cases are applicable. We're fully EVM equivalent. So any applications that are that can be deployed on, for example, Ethereum, can be deployed on Metis as well, while still leveraging the security of Ethereum itself. So just a brief description to go over more so of the technical components, more so on what is a smart L2, going over specific details within the mechanisms and hopefully in a more understandable way. So just to give a brief description, there is a peer network. Peer network is a where data gets fed into the system. So when you make a transaction, it gets sent to the peer network. The sequencer downloads the transactions, and then afterwards it makes a post, the state root, as well as a transaction batch Merkle root. So that goes directly into Memo Labs, and then afterwards it goes to the actual chain itself. So right here, down here, this is layer 1 right here. So we have this 2-block blockchain, but in this case, this is layer 1. So the data gets posted to Memo Labs. The state root, as the transaction batch Merkle root, gets posted to Memo Labs, and then it also gets posted to the layer 1. So afterwards, a validator comes into the system. They download the transaction batch Merkle root as well as the state root, and they attempt to find the transaction batch Merkle root from Memo Labs storage. Then they do 2 comparisons. So does the on-chain root match the Memo Labs root? If it does, then they check the state. Does the state match the calculated state after executing all of the transactions present from the Memo Labs storage? If good, then nothing else gets done. It's treated as everything is good. This is the optimistic case where since everything is good, we don't need to do anything else. Now let's say the transaction data was correct, but the calculated state is not correct. So this means that the state that the sequencer has posted is not correct. So that means that there was a malicious sequencer. in this case, the validator would take the batch of individual transactions that they've received from Memo Labs, because it was determined that the on-chain route and the Memo Labs route was correct. They take those individual transactions and they post it on-chain, which then becomes more of an optimistic rollup mechanism where all the data becomes on-chain, and a fraud proof can be posted in order to slash the sequencer. So this becomes an optimistic rollup in this case. Going back, let's say the transaction batch is not equal to the Memo Labs route. So what this means is that the sequencer, for whatever reason, decided not to post the data. They posted the data on chain, so they say they posted the Merkle route, but the validator wasn't able to find it in Memo Labs. So this means that the data isn't found. That means there needs to be something done in order to get the data to be found. In this case, we're going to take that exact same example. So this is exactly the same. So we just take the data, but in the case where the data cannot be found and retrieved from Memo Labs, we take the transaction Merkle route and the state, and we see that we can't find the data. If we can't find the data, we then, well, as a validator, we'd make a request to the sequencer. We would give the sequencer some ETH to post the batch of transactions. So we essentially tell the sequencer, make this request on chain, and you have X amounts of hours in order to post it. So the sequencer would post the data on chain if requested. And then once the data is on chain, this becomes an optimistic rollup. And in this case, all the data is on chain. You can recalculate all of the state from the transactions that are on chain. There's a possibility that the sequencer does not post the data on chain. So in this case, the sequencer would, you would request the sequencer to do so, and the sequencer says, no, I don't have the data for whatever reason. In this case, this is a malicious sequencer because they posted a incorrect transaction batch, and now they failed to post the actual transaction data. So this means that the sequencer is malicious and the sequencer gets slashed from the ecosystem. So if the sequencer doesn't post the data, then they get slashed. Then afterwards, a new sequencer comes in, downloads the data from the peer network, and then this new sequencer would do the exact same mechanism as the old sequencer, post the transactions on chain, post the transaction batch Merkle route on chain, as well as the calculated state, and then send the transaction data to Memo Labs. And if we go back, this is the exact same mechanism as this right here. So it just, and then if you want to revalidate everything, you just run through how it was before, where the sequencer would post it, the validator would validate it, request it, and then calculate it, and so on and so forth. So this is, at a glance, how the mechanism works. There is, of course, more details. We've posted a couple of blog posts. We've posted, we're going to post an article as well, so that you can look into more so of the detailed mechanisms. But just so as a overview of how the whole system works, there is some details which of course I glossed over, but this is by and large as a whole how the system works. So just some criteria. There's a lot of text here, but in this case, we are still a layer 2. It's still based on layer 1. So all of the data is present on layer, the resolution mechanism is still present on layer 1. So the sequencer gets slashed on layer 1. Does all of the transactions, if anything happens, has to go back on layer 1 to be resolved by the network. So in this case, we use Ethereum in order to guarantee the security of Metis as a layer 2. We do so using the smart L2 mechanism. So that it was just a very brief explanatory overview of the actual mechanism. Now, of course, we'll release more articles with more pictures and diagrams and whatnot to explain more so of the system as a whole, but we did release two useful articles, which I forgot to put QR codes there. But if you go to our Medium, our Medium, as well as I think we'll share it in the MetisDAO Telegram after the live stream, you can also take a look at those articles as well. So now we also have a reputation power matrix that we are releasing very shortly.
Before we go to reputation power, Pavel, can I just make a little bit of a note on the, if you can go back to the slide where you have the validate, yeah, one more slide. Yes, so that just the terminology, because what I saw also people asking questions, in the Twitter and Telegram, is the validator, in fact, the verifier, because that was also the confusion was, so because Metis is still a layer 2 and there's no validators. So the validator in that slide and in this sequence is actually the verifier and the one that is posting a fraud proofs on the layer 1. Is that correct?
Yes. So in this case, they are the verifier. I am using the terms interchangeably. So it's so validator verifier would be the I guess the more correct way would be that it would be a verifier, but that's the mechanism of making sure that all the data is there, making sure that all the data can be essentially validation to make sure that all the data is correct, verifying to make sure that all the data can be executed and the same state can be attributed as a result of that execution. That would be
I just want to add, because the verifier or validator definition is not something that we write in the textbook. So there's no definitive answer. What is a verifier? What is a validator? In our case, this validator / verifier is doing what the traditional verifier in the optimistic rollup does, more than that. So it's hard to say, hey, it is a verifier or it is a validator. It doesn't really matter. It is one entity, a permissionless entity, I would say, and some entity to ensure the security of the network. And there's no majority rule. So as long as we have one honest, active verifier / validator, the whole network security is ensured.
Exactly. See,
thank you, Yuan and Pavel, clarifying this question, because that seems like a critical differences between validators and verifiers that I saw. That is the question from the community, because the validators were understood as this is the internal L2 validation, so it's not the verification of the transaction.
No, for L2, again, one important concept in L2 is there's no block production consensus. So there's not really a validator in this whole ecosystem, the traditional sense of validator in this whole ecosystem. However, like I said, there's no textbook definition. What is that validator? What is a verifier? For this particular entity that is basically ensuring the security of the network, it is doing more than what a traditional verifier does in optimistic rollup. So if you just call it verifier, it may not be accurate either. So I would say just don't focus too much on the technicality of particular word choices. Basically, it is one entity that is permissionless and only require one honest entity to ensure the security of the network.
Yeah.
That's correct. So that probably was the point, that we need like way many like validators for that, but in fact we need only one verifier. Just one.
Yeah. So it's the security model is basically 1 to n rather than like a m to n, or in order to basically guarantee the security of the system of other L1s, there needs to be a majority consensus. and that consensus is achieved through different ways. There can be tendermint, there can be like a proof of work, there could be different types of consensus models. In this case, those types of models need to have that majority. In our case, in a smart L2 or an optimistic rollup, the model is that you only need one honest verifier / validator in order to secure the entire network. So the same security mechanism applies for us as does an optimistic rollup. And in this case, it is semantics, potato, basically. But yeah, thank you for clarifying all of this detail. Happy to expand on it in the chats and as well as in future articles as well. All right. So
thank you, Pavel.
Okay, everything is sorted there. Great. Yeah, happy to answer more questions in the chat as well. And then let's get right into the reputation power. The MetisDAO Foundation is launching the reputation power system. Specifically, the product is called Matrix, and this will be live very shortly. With the Web3 identity system, we are pioneering reputation power. It is the version of soulbound tokens. So similar to how Vitalik recently posted in his blogs about soulbound, World of Warcraft related, where it's you have tokens that are associated with your account, but they cannot be transferred to other places. So non-transferable NFTs, essentially. What this does, this enables huge use cases, like lots and lots of use cases, and we've implemented the system for those use cases. For example, you have reputation power and NFT badges through achievements or contributions towards the projects and as the community as a whole. The idea behind it is that the individual dApps within the ecosystem all provision their own versions of NFT badges that can signify value created through the platform. In this case, there are many use cases such as a version of like a decentralized LinkedIn, where you contribute to an ecosystem and then you earn a specific badge saying that you're a community contributor for this dApp. And then using that, you can go to other dApps and you can work in this decentralized economy without actually having to go through any type of centralized service and in this case, this is more provable that you worked for this specific dApp, since you have to have it issued by the dApp itself. So in this case, similar to the use case of a decentralized LinkedIn, you can use it that way, but there's lots of use cases. We do have articles going more in detail, and then the paper for Soulbound also goes into lots of detail in relation to how you can use these non-transferable tokens. So we have two key systems. We have the reputation power system as well as the NFT badges. So the reputation power system is meant to be the way that users can issue these tokens, or more specifically, dApps can issue these tokens, and then you can have that as a means to grow community through these types of badges. So you have a system where people can stimulate different activities or different community participation using both the reputation power system as well as the NFT badges that are associated with that. And the idea is that you can do more through community incentives through these types of badges, and you can give specific awards to maybe specific contributors. And then this can be useful for many different types of things, including governance and other things, a form of proof of identity as well, more like proof of reputation, and you can use it for many types of use cases. We're also interested to see what people can come up with given this type of system. We do have a art contest specifically for this. And then we have our own types of badges that will be released, but we are looking for community contributors to submit artwork that can be very that will be used to distribute these types of badges within the ecosystem. So there is that contest starting today, ending on June 28th. And then more details are present here. So if you scan the QR code, we would encourage everyone to participate, all artists to participate, create these types of images for the collections as well. So we will post more updates. We do have this also in our mirror. So if you go to our mirror, and then you can see all of the details present there. There's also details about the contest. So another link related to just the submission guidelines and criteria. And again, June 28th is the submission deadline. And with that, there are some marketing business development updates, and I would like to transfer that over to let's see. Do we have our I guess I can continue with the business development. That we have an upcoming conference that is going to be released. Well, not released, but we have an upcoming conference for ETH Toronto. So that's coming up in August 8 to 10 in, of course, Toronto. You can check out more details related to that. And with the CEG, we have published the process here, and all of this is present within the documentation as well. We've definitely had some community feedback. We're expanding the current process in relation to how CEG would work, and more so decentralizing our ecosystem to allow for more expansive use, more on-chain activities as well. A lot of what we've done, we've learned a lot from the community verified projects program, and we want to expand that system to be more tailored for on-chain activities. So things that can influence different parts of the ecosystem as well. So that Mitis essentially becomes a fully decentralized, managed by the community system. And we have that as our roadmap to decentralization. So there's going to be more upcoming projects on June 17th. Stay tuned for those updates. And we have more projects coming in onboarded, and we are refining some of the process for projects, allowing for projects that go through the process to benefit even further from the Metis ecosystem. So stay tuned for all of those announcements on the 17th. All right, now we've reached the Q&A, and I guess we can in the chats I can help answer different questions. No, I should probably keep that slide around for a bit more. Let's see. Let me see if I can get my spreadsheet out. Let's see in relation to this. Oh, I need to stop sharing for one moment, but yeah, I'll transfer it over to Alina. Likely she might have the spreadsheet open and continue on the questions. So let me just get that set up.
We can start answering questions in the chat. So that's the ones that we just forwarded to us.
Okay, do you want me to take the first one?
Yeah, sure, take the first one.
Okay, so the question is, who are Metis developers? Considering what we have done in such a short amount of time, it must be a world-class. I absolutely agree with you. The team that we have is world-class development team. And why we don't have those names on the website to protect their identity so that I can protect my team so they will not be posted by other projects. So very easy. So those are really definitely great developers. Uh, First of all, a lot of stuff we've done is also on the based on the shoulder of a giant. So we started with forking the Optimism's repo. So there are a lot of great stuff the Optimism team has done and then we inherited. So that helps a lot to help us start with. But then when we start the journey of decentralization, there are a lot of P2P networking stuff we have to do. There are a lot of core gas stuff that we have to tweak in order to enable that P2P networking and peer networking that Pavel mentioned in the first section, and that peer-to-peer networking is extremely important, and you will see why in the future very soon once we have released more articles about the decentralization and such. And then we have also a lot of toolings we created, platforms like Polis and Matrix, and all done by this great team, a world-class team indeed. Whether we have time with Vitalik or not, it really doesn't really important. I think the most important thing that you should look at our roadmap execution, or you should look at our product releases, and that's the most important thing, and not about the ties and connections within with Vitalik or not. That's irrelevant. Does Metis plan to burn any of the circulation supply in the future? I don't think I'm equipped to answer that question. I don't think we have anyone in this stream to answer that.
Yeah, I also shared the link to the all questions that were submitted to us.
Okay. Next question is: there already an idea to fight the secondary sales with the wallets, where those soul bonds are based on? Like will that allow some sort of identity trading? Selling the wallets, I don't know anyone will ever want to buy such wallets, because not your key, not your token. Let me put it this way. So if you're buying some wallets from someone else and the seller will have control on your wallet, I don't know how that's gonna work. And so enlighten me. So please enlighten me how this wallet trading is gonna work in the future. I honestly do not think that's feasible, and I highly encourage no one should be involved in such trading because you will definitely be scammed. How to mint NFT on Mitis, same as Ethereum. So we are EVM equivalent. So how you mint NFT on Ethereum mainnet or any EVM compatible or equivalent chain, it's the same way on Mitis. For soulbound NFTs, and you will definitely have a UI that will be part of the system. It's going to be very easy to acquire a soulbound NFT, a social NFT that you can use as your Web3 identity. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Yuan. So I will start answering the questions from the ones that were submitted to us within this week from the community. Like a first question, for example, what is what is the reason why Metis is built on layer 2, and what are cost advantages that layer 2 infrastructure will provide to Metis? Okay, so this question is a little bit backwards. So probably Metis is not built on layer 2. Metis is a layer 2. So Metis, as an economy platform, we needed to build our own layer 2 because none of the other layer 2s were matching what we wanted to do. The scalability and the cost was not there. So that's why we built our own layer 2, which you see right now on L2 fees. And of course, right now it's still hidden in the tab as all L2s. The network cost is very low. So that is now suitable for us to onboard the Web2 projects. So this was the whole point of building our own layer 2 infrastructure. And now that we succeeded that, so we're proceeding with all our further plans. Okay, so what is the advantages for companies to build on top of Metis layer 2? So that's another question. Companies that build on Metis layer 2, of course, will utilize the lowest fees in Ethereum ecosystem. Right now, the fees for the swap is only 1 cent, and even yesterday was even less 1 cent. So this market will be probably the turbulent. The fees are going to go lower. And also, what we have this wonderful program as called Builder Mining. Builder Mining for the projects. It is the program where the great projects get great builders on Metis network get supported with additional funding that is embedded into their transaction volume and also the gas fees that that their smart contracts incur. And some of the current projects, we have many of them that receiving right now builder mining, some of them receiving $200,000 a month. So that is how we support the builder community. And in this bear market that is right now, projects need that support, and that's how they survive. So that's what we do for our community of builders. Next question. So Pavel, feel free to answer because I would not speak just alone.
Sure. There's one question related to ETH2 after the merge. So again, we inherit the security and the decentralization of Ethereum. So anything that improves Ethereum in terms of scalability improvements, especially after sharding, that will greatly increase the amount of transactions that we can include and increase the throughput of transactions themselves. Although the merge itself is the first stage, so once Ethereum becomes proof of stake, that's one part. The next part will be sharding, which will greatly increase the transactions per second. So any improvements to Ethereum will improve Metis as a result. In terms of the practical terms after the Chainlink integration. So Chainlink provides various high quality price feeds that a lot of the established DeFi projects are using. So projects like Aave and a lot of other projects are utilizing these highly reliable price feeds, and a lot of the integrations that are present would rely in part due to some Chainlink price feeds. Of course, there is, so in terms of practical application, the projects are now that we're basically saying that, oh, we need these types of reliable price feeds, and we are using Chainlink for us. We would be able to onboard them much easier than what we are currently doing. So in terms of the Chainlink integration, it will allow us to onboard these types of projects that rely on Chainlink for their price feeds. In terms of the DAC models, so the first initial version, so the reputation power launch is as part of our roadmap for DACs. So having that ability to interconnect the different applications together. So for starting out with dApps, they grow communities and they grow these decentralized autonomous companies. But we saw that we need to establish those interconnected exchanges of information. So in this case, the reputation system would be a way to easily communicate these different types of qualities related to the value, basically, that users can provide. With that, the dApps that have seen that the specific users that have contributed are able to give them more ability and influence within their ecosystem. So we want to start out from how do we get communities closer together? How do we get dApps to interact with a lot of the members first, and then establishing core structure in the form of DACs. So reputation power is the first version or that release of the first implementation of that connectedness, and then DACs will be built on top of that infrastructure. So hopefully that answered the question in relation to DACs being a core part of the ecosystem. We want to, of course, emphasize that it's those connections that you have with other communities that matter more than just building these individual siloed applications that nobody would be able to interact with unless they already heard of them before. So having that closer community in terms of that reputation would be our first step to achieving higher growth and higher interconnectedness within the DAC structure. So that hopefully answers a few of the questions that I have right here in relation to DACs.
Okay, so there's a question regarding if Metis shut down, will my fund be safe? Excellent question. This is the exact reason why we want to do decentralization. So all the other hardware suffer the same problem. So in theory, you can still get the funds out. The way you do it is post a transaction on L1 to CTC, but at the same time you also have to calculate the resulting state roots and post it over to the state commits chain. So it's a very involving operation. Of course, and the tooling and all the steps is already described in the repo. In the case where we want to shut down Metis, I'm pretty sure that will never happen. And you will still be able to acquire funds. No one can get your funds. So all the funds that you have have already bridged over to Metis, and holding your balance is still yours. No one can take it. No one can take it at all. So that's for sure. But at the same time, we recognize this is definitely not a good user experience for anyone using L2. That's why we're doing that decentralization, so that it will always run 24/7, just like the Ethereum mainnet. And it will always run, and no one needs to go through this convoluted process to get the fund out from L2. Okay, so that's that. And in terms of EVM compatibility, again, we have EVM equivalence, just like what Optimism has. So meaning that any tool that uses or any tool that supports EVM will be able to work on Metis. You will sometimes you notice some tooling may not have Metis in the network selection. It's just because they haven't integrated our RPCs in their platform, but the tool itself will work. So for example, if they support like custom RPC network or a kind of a local network, you can put the Metis RPC in the configuration, and you will be able to use the tool against Metis Andromeda, no problem, including the Stardust test network. I think that's everything assigned to me, right? Are there any other things I can help answer? I saw some questions in the chat, but in the spreadsheet, are there anything else I need to?
Yeah, maybe I will answer some of them as well, because I have some of the questions from the community. Okay, how does Metis plan to have a Web2 companies on board? So we still have a lot of the research and development in that sense, and a lot of business development as well in the Web2 world. For instance, in 2 weeks, there will be a big conference for the startups in Toronto. And we are not only attending, we are sponsoring, and we are also holding a special event for those startups and companies that would like to explore the Web3 space. and we are testing the different business models with them. Some of them would like to, of course, to launch their token and fundraise. Some of them would like to embed NFTs into their business process, and not only as an art, or actually for the NFTs actively participating in the business process. Some of them would like to store, the data in a decentralized way. So there are many ways that startups and the companies would like to be involved in Web3 and then have an upper hand in a decentralization world. So we are starting just with a few use cases and testing them on the real companies. So that this is our approach. So that space and that task is not going to be fast and easy. So it's more a process that we are developing right now, and that we are going through this right now as well as we're building our tech.
Yeah, and just to expand on that point, Polis is meant to be that's easy to create an account. So the cumbersome process of creating a wallet, storing your private keys on your own device, and having that be the so the usability experience of Web3 is currently very difficult and it's very cumbersome. So the idea is that we're here to simplify the process. Polis is a step in the right direction to onboarding Web2 use cases, because it provides that traditional interface of a email password and that ability for applications to utilize an API to accept different types of requests as well. So there is that more so of a traditional Web2 experience, while still remaining decentralized in the case where you're still able to have the option to utilize your MetaMask. You still have that option to use Wallet Connect as well. So open standards and protocols that enable the growth, security, and the sustainability. So in the cases where user onboarding is considered, we see that the user experience is very important, and to onboard users and then to eventually transition with having more of the alternative solutions to allow for future applications. But the idea is to onboard more users to make it as useful as possible, and to be usable as well. So we're talking with, as Selena said, different types of companies and use cases, and adapting them as a customized solution. So definitely NFTs, marketplaces have been very integral with that, as they're very popular within the Web2 ecosystem. So we're exploring more so of that, and then of course there's other tokenization platforms and different things related to that. So we're in communication with a lot of these Web2 clients. It's that to transition, they need to overcome some regulatory hurdles. They need to overcome different types of business process, ways of thinking. So we're also consulting people in terms of a decentralized economy, collaboration, and environment. So using DACs, we're definitely looking long-term for having those Web2 businesses on board and decentralize parts, not all, but parts of their business process to more so community, paying for things like specific posts on social media or for example, specific contributions. So more so like that gig economy related and decentralized gig economy, so that you're not employed full time. You can instead post through your decentralized task management service, which we're currently working on developing as well. Hopefully that adds a little bit more perspective and depth to the what we're looking at and what we're planning to do with Web2.
Another question: there are not enough builders and big players on network. I know the technology is good, but having great dApps can help a lot. What is Metis' plan to attract such dApps? So I just came from the Consensus Conference and Decentral Conference, where we connected to many projects that actually didn't even know about Metis until we came there to these conferences. So that this is our business development is in process, and what the great thing that we provide for the builders, and that's what builders is very excited about, is a builder mining, and that is our plan on how to attract the dApps. So they're not only attracted with the lowest gas fees, and of course the gaming companies, for example, they're very keen on the low gas fees for their user base, but also on the builder mining aspect as well, and which I already covered earlier today. There's this question that I maybe don't understand. What happens to Metis when ETH crash? So I assume here the ETH price crash, or the or Ethereum crash. So this is, yeah, I'm going to talking about the ETH price crash. So what happens to Metis when ETH price crashes? Well, no, Metis will still be the same. It doesn't happen to like it will not happen. Look, I mean, it will not affect Metis. And EVM compatibility, we have a question. How does Metis's EVM compatibility make it superior to other platform infrastructure, and what kind of convenience does EVM support provide to the developers? Okay, so EVM compatibility does not make anyone superior. It just makes it convenient for developers who already have their tech developed for the EVM, either for Ethereum, to jump on the layer 2 that is EVM compatible easily. So that is the advantage. So, but EVM compatibility does not make anyone superior. I believe we answered all the questions. Oh, there is also the questions about decentralization roadmap. And if you go to metisdao.medium.com, you can find more information on the roadmap and on all our roadmaps. So, and the decentralization roadmap is there as well. So yeah, you can read on that on MetisDAO.
And do you want to add, with our decentralization roadmap is not just about the decentralization of governance. The whole network will be decentralized in a way, so that, like I said before, the Metis Andromeda chain is gonna run 24/7. Even with upgrades and stuff, you will see no downtime once we finish the centralization work that we plan to do in the roadmap.
Yeah, that's correct. And as Yuan already answered the question about if the Metis network goes down, what has happened? So we actually had an incident this weekend when we had a huge DDoS attack on Metis website. And yeah, and just for you know that like all the front ends, this is not affecting any of the Metis operations. And even if we have a DDoS attacks, which by the way were resolved by our security, so it very, very quickly, so that there was not even that much of a website effect on the website. But yes, the front end has nothing to do with the decentralized network. So everything that exposed through the front ends, either this is Metis front ends or our partner front ends, this is just the front ends. So this can be basically rolled up in any server, anytime, anywhere. What is the Metis network is a completely different, and that's why it is robust, because it's decentralized. I think that was all the questions.
If that's all the questions in the spreadsheet, I do see more questions in the chat. I can address the first one, the matrix, provide exactly. Can I say stay tuned, because I do not want to disclose too much. When it's released, you will be surprised how much flexibility we actually give to the app owners and the users. So there are more use cases that I think we'll detail in the future. It is really your Web3 identity. So it's not just about tracking activities. It is about your identity. So we'll talk more about it once we release Matrix, and you'll be positively surprised, I'm pretty sure. Just to quickly touch upon the second half of the question, will every DAC issue their own badges? Yes. Will there be a fixed set? No. So we'll have some templates, but you have all your flexibility how you want to define badges, and there are definitely some parameters you can tweak to make some very interesting things to happen to incentivize your users to participate in your DAC more, and for DApp owners, of course, you want to incentivize people using your DApp more. So that system is going to help you design schemes to make that happen. So stay tuned. When will the new roadmap be implemented? It's being implemented right now. So there are definitely some obstacles and little hiccups we had in the implementation at the moment, same as all other technical innovations. So there are things a little bit slower than I would like to, but we're still loyally and diligently implementing the roadmap. Our journey to decentralization hasn't stopped even a bit. We are marching towards for this decentralization of Metis and China this year. I'm gonna skip the conference question. I think Pavel, Elena, you can take that. Do you guys plan to have a conference in LA? Easy question.
I think we need to address to our events team, because we have the professional events team that we rely on. That is part of our in-house, and this is just a question in the planning. I don't believe we have any in the roadmap for the LA. But certainly, if we will have partners or the interest from the community, we can certainly hold our Metis Fest in LA. Yeah, let us know if you would like to partner with us.
Cool. Next question: what are some immediate plans regarding Metis domains for Q4? When we talk about Q4. The immediate plan doesn't really work with Q4. just saying that, but it is definitely something that we're discussing internally very actively. It is definitely tied to Web3 identity, matrix, and badges, all of that. So it's all part of the ecosystem. Stay tuned. That'll be my answer. Pavel, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, what was the question again?
What are some immediate plans regarding Metis domains for Q4?
We're not affiliated. So
that's a totally different project. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not affiliated with Metis domains.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, whatever that they're doing is up to them. And
okay.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, because we have a similar term called domains in Polish, so I kind of mix the two together. So my apologies. So we do have domains in Polish, but it's totally unrelated to Metis domain as a separate project.
Yeah. So the Polish domains are meant to be more so for smart contract code sharing. So a lot of that's more so of like a usability standpoint. I think the other project is more for like ENS type of
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we're not affiliated. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But we welcome. Welcome to build on Metis. So what is your long-term vision for Metis, i.e. what is the potential for Metis to change the world over the course of the next 10, 20, 30 years? We're going to change the world next year, if not this year. As soon as we have the Web3 identity out, and we'll have a lot of Web2 partners come in, and you will see how we change the world. And stay tuned. And glad everyone will be part of this revolution or evolution. It's going to be very exciting. Elena, do you want to add anything to this?
Yes. So we also, as a company, we always kind of like keeping ourselves aware of the surrounding, market condition environments of anything. So even though we have this, strict roadmap, so there might be some deviation, but yes, so we have a vision to create an economy for the people and decentralized economy. So nobody can ban you from that economy. Nobody can ban you from participating in, in a business and doing a business and earning your income. So that is the big vision for Metis. There is a question about the eligibility requirements to be part of the Builder Mining program. We released a whole Medium post on that. So if you go to metisdao.medium.com, you can find our post about the Builder Mining program and the eligibility requirements for it. So yes, the projects that read that post, that found it, that read it, they are right now participating and eligible, of course, and they're participating in the Builder Mining program. And some of them are earning, as I said, up to $200,000 a month. There is a question, how did the Austin conference go? Any solid connections or potential partnerships? Yes, look, I've been working there throughout the whole week, including the weekend, and even my voice is now suffered a little bit. That's how much I spoke to different companies, and we made tons of connections. So right now for the BizDev is the big work to sort them all up, to schedule all the meetings, and then we will see what big partnership we're going to have from there. All right, so do you have any other questions? So because we need to wrap up, we have only 2 minutes to go. Will there be a workshop at some point to show people how to tangibly utilize the power of the DEC's DAX? Yes, we will have, so once we have the DAX 2.0 release, so we will have the workshops. In fact, we have the whole educational department that is that will be educating people on how to do so. At this point, I would like to thank everyone that attended our live stream, ask all these questions. Today we had lots of questions. This is so great to see our community involvement. I would like to thank Pavel for the presentation and explanation of the Smart Layer 2. I would like to thank Yuan for answering all the technical questions and along with Pavel. And I would like to thank the whole team who attended and made this live stream possible. Thank you so